All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Dave here, talking real music in real time for a few real people just like you and just like me. So, a couple of interesting things about that Journey debut concert. I mentioned the lineup, which again wasn't what I think most of us were expecting. There was no Marco Mendoza. Obviously, there's no Randy Jackson, and there was no Narada Michael Walden. On bass is the great Todd Jensen. Todd Jensen played on that very first Hardline album called Eclipse, where both Dean Castronovo and Neil Schon were also used to launch another brand name, which is still around today, fronted by the great Johnny Gioeli, just a great vocalist. I interviewed him a while back, and he's just a real nice guy, decent guy. You should check out the latest album, too, by Hardline, if you haven't yet. I think it's in the mainstream of what melodic rock could be today, but, you know, it's not getting played on the radio and came out several months ago now. It's a lot of these albums that come and go, and nobody even knows about them. Anyway, getting back to the concert, this was a pretty interesting concert from another aspect. Keyboard player Jason Derlatka, he's like a secondary keyboard player. He replaced Travis Thibodeau, who was in that role. And Travis used to sing, I think, at least one song with the band, which I find to be interesting. You've got Jonathan Cain out there, who's not your best lead vocalist, but certainly has gotten better over the years, I think, as a singer. He's put out a ton of Christian music in the last few years, and vocally speaking, I think he's gotten a little bit better. Certainly good enough to sing that whole Feeling That Way anytime duet that typically gets done with Arnell, or it gets done maybe with Dean. I'm not sure who would do that. I'm not sure if anybody got that song, if they played it. I'd like to see it and who is actually participating in it. But getting back to Jason Derlatka, he was brought into the band, I think, because he's got some great vocal chops. And we got to hear Jason sing two songs, which I think was kind of interesting. And he did two very popular Journey songs, Girl Can't Help It and I'll Be All Right Without You. And he nailed both of them. He sounded fantastic. Does he sound like Steve Perry or that traditional Journey singer? Sort of yeah, sort of no. I would still say Dean Castronovo, who, from what I can tell, didn't do much other than play drums, which is what he's supposed to do. But again, there's footage that I probably haven't seen yet. Dean usually gets to sing Mother, Father, and he usually just knocks it out of the park. I was thinking under the circumstances that Dean might actually sing more songs, but that didn't occur. But maybe without Narada up there, they felt that Dean had to focus just on drumming and, put the spotlight on Dean. But I didn't see any of those songs that he's sung in the past. But Jason Derlatka gets two top 20 Journey classic hits that really aren't played on your local radio station that much anymore, if at all, which is kind of tragic. There's an epic video of just Jason Derlatka on YouTube performing Send Her My Love, which would be another song I think you could let Jason take care of as well. I have a hunch that they're trying to kind of mix it up a little bit to give Arnell a break up there. But I was very impressed with Jason Derlatka's singing. All of those high notes with really not a lot of difficulty and without a lot of pitchiness, which has been a problem with these older bands that have catalogs where the music is difficult to reach. Again, it's just where we're at right now. Mortality is catching up with folks. And the only thing you could do is replace these singers with younger or more capable vocalists who can do justice to the material. Because if you're playing everything a half step down or a full step down, people know that there's something not quite right. Maybe they can't pinpoint it. You know, you're drinking the $14 beer and you're just having a good time and you're thinking to yourself, this sounds good, but subliminally, you know, this isn't how or where the song begins on the scale. And then it, you know, goes lower than you're used to hearing it on the radio. You'll get in your car and you'll hear the radio version again, and that will kind of wipe the hard drive clean. And then you go back to the concert and you're listening to something that doesn't sound anything like what you just heard on the radio. And it resembles it, but it's like playing something in a minor key versus a major key. I mean, it just changes the whole meaning of the song, musically speaking. And again, I would have really shot for the carbon copy of Steve Perry if I were replacing anybody. And back in the day, it was Hugo Valenti, and he's still out there with his band called Voyage. And he still sounds great. I'm not saying, you know, replace anybody now with Hugo. Hugo's got a good gig going for himself. So he probably doesn't want all the BS of joining the corporate band. But I would still think of someone to replace Arnell at this stage. I just think Arnell has done a great job with this band for many, many years. And some people will disagree with me. Some people think he's fine and that it all sounds great. I read the comments and I'm a little, I guess, interested, because it's one of those things where, subjectively speaking, you know, you can make the argument that he sounds good from your ear point, from your ear view, purview, whatever. But I know I've talked to a lot of people, and a lot of those people I talk to are musicians. They're singers, they're producers, they're songwriters, whatever. And they more or less agree with me. I'm not saying I'm right about all this stuff, but I get a lot of feedback from patrons and just people who I consider laymen with really good ears. And it's anybody can have really good ears. You know, put on your headset, right, and go listen to any Journey album, and then you kind of have your own context and own prism to judge people. I would say Jason Derlatka turned in the two best vocal performances of the night based on what I heard, you know, from the show. Now, I would say Faithfully was well done. Open Arms was well done. There are a few moments where I said, okay, this is still, you know, not so bad and fairly well done. But then there were other moments like Separate Ways where I, you know, again, maybe they should just retire Separate Ways. I know it's like their second most played radio song. Maybe they should retire it. Yeah, I don't know. Or just take a break playing it, because if you can't perform it the way it should be performed, just put it on the bench for a while. And then, you know, once you have somebody out there who can actually bring it to life properly in the correct key, then perform it again, you know, because it's a great song. To lead that song off, though, to be that as your first song, and if you can't, you know, do it justice, then probably pick a different opening song. I know you want to get the crowd motivated, but imagine like the beginning to Who's Crying Now, and you do some kind of extended intro to that with Neil Sean doing an extended intro and then this amazing famous outro that used to drive radio programmers crazy in the old days, but it's still some of the most amazing guitar work on a contemporary rock song that you'll ever hear. And it's just as good live as it is on the original records. So in any event, those are some thoughts. Jason, I think he totally hit it out of the park. I knew he was a great vocalist. He proved he was a great vocalist. Todd Jensen holding down the bass over there, formerly of Hardline, where Dean and Neil were both in the band at that moment. So you had three guys up there who were once in Hardline together. which is really interesting. But it shows you that people know other people in this business. So if you don't do a good job or you don't want to show up for work, there are people out there who are wanting to take your job. And in this case, Todd Jensen is the new bass player, at least for now. We'll see if it gets formally announced or if it's temporary, or maybe Randy Jackson is going to come back out of nowhere. I don't think he is. I have a hunch that Randy is not going to be joining Journey, but the band probably should put some statements out there and let people know who are paying lots of money for tickets what's actually going on. So there you go. That's my 2 cents times maybe 4 or 5. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Check out my new Rumble version of this channel, which is really the same channel, but me being a little bit more spicy with some of the dialogue. And yeah, so that's what I do over there. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.